History and culture. A new expedition to Guadalcanal reveals World War II shipwrecks for the first time. National Geographic Explorer at Large Bob Ballard revisits the Ironbottom Sound, rediscovering vessels and making new finds. The IJN Terazuki fought fiercely in the First and Second Naval Battles of Guadalcanal, torpedoing multiple American warships without taking damage, until it was sunk by U.S. patrol boats in December 1942. It was seen for the first time since sinking during an underwater exploration in July 2025 by the Ocean Exploration Trust team. Photographed by Ocean Exploration Trust. Bitom Metcalf. October 3, 2025. Shipwreck hunter Bob Ballard recalls the solemn sense of duty he felt more than 30 years ago when he first explored Ironbottom Sound, an expanse of water beside the island of Guadalcanal in the South Pacific Solomon Islands that was the scene of fierce fighting in World War II. The battles there between Allied forces, mostly American, and the Imperial Japanese Navy raged for 6 months from August 1942 until February 1943. The campaign marked a turning point in the Pacific War and the American victory there, some 14 months after the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, began a final phase that ended in the showdown for Japan's home islands. Ballard's first journeys in the early 1990s and his most recent expedition this past July underscored the loss of life. The 7 naval clashes and 3 major land engagements claimed more than 27,000 lives on both sides. This was the first battle that Japan lost badly, says Ballard, a National Geographic Explorer at Large. This was when the rising sun began to set. Japan capitulated to the Allies 2 years after Guadalcanal, on August 15, 1945, after the U.S. dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It would formally surrender the following month, on September 2, aboard USS Missouri. Shipwreck hunters discover a sunken Japanese warship. Shipwreck hunters aboard the R/V Nautilus used remotely operating vehicles to discover a sunken Japanese warship known as the IJN Terazuki and other World War II ships from the Battle of Guadalcanal. Video by Ocean Exploration Trust, NOAA. Before World War II, Ironbottom Sound was known as Savo Sound, after nearby Savo Island. But its WRI nickname stuck because more than 100 warships were sunk there during the deadly conflict. The shipwrecks that still lie on the seafloor are a grim testament to this critical moment in history, and yet, at a depth of around 2,000 feet, they remain elusive as they are much too deep for human divers to reach. Ballard's latest expedition offered a rare chance to see these ships and restore their stories. 80 years later, you can still see the shadow of a Hiroshima bomb victim. In July, Ballard and his team on board the exploration vessel Nautilus used the latest underwater technology to survey 13 shipwrecks at Ironbottom Sound, including some that had not been found since sinking beneath the waves, such as the Imperial Japanese Navy destroyer Terazuki and the bow of the USS New Orleans. Video from the underwater explorations was streamed live from the E/V Nautilus, both to a group of specialist researchers and to the wider public. Some viewers were family members of those who lost their lives on the ships, and many left comments detailing their connections to the sunken wrecks. My great-granduncle, Lieutenant Commander Edmund Billings, was on the Quincy's Bridge when it was hit. His last words were, allegedly, "Everything will be all right, the ship will go down fighting." Certainly, she did. Jeffrey Roker, historian and creator of MissingMarines.com. The E/V Nautilus is operated by Ballard's Ocean Exploration Trust, and the expedition was primarily funded by the NOAA Ocean Exploration Program. In addition to Ballard's team, researchers from the U.S., the U.S. Navy, the Solomon Islands, Australia, and Japan also took part in the work. Ballard, who once served in the U.S. Navy, says he was moved by his latest explorations in Ironbottom Sound, as he had been in the 1990s. "It's quite striking when you're down there, because you're where a lot of people died," he says. And this time the families of those who were killed at Guadalcanal could join in. "The beauty of our telepresence is you're with us when we make the discovery, because the moment of discovery is so thrilling," he says. IJN Terazuki and the Tokyo Express. Imperial Japanese Navy destroyer Akazuki, Akazuki class, a sister ship to the Terazuki, on trial run off Miyazu Bay. Photograph by History and Art Collection, a Lamy stock photo. One of the shipwrecks that Ballard found in July was the Imperial Japanese Navy destroyer Terazuki, sunk on the night of December 12, 1942, by American torpedoes while it was escorting a convoy carrying supplies to Guadalcanal. Terazuki and the convoy were part of the so-called Tokyo Express, Japan's months-long effort to resupply its troops on the island during the night. Imperial Japanese Naval Destroyer. The Imperial Japanese Naval Destroyer Terazuki's original red paint has survived more than 80 years underwater after it was torpedoed by American patrol ships in 1942. Ocean Exploration Trust, NOAA. American air attacks made resupply by day impossible, says Ballard. But the Allies wouldn't develop the ability to fight at night by aircraft equipped with radar until later in the war. This was the first time Terazuki had been seen since it sank. Japan kept many of its naval vessels secret during the war, and so there are no known historical photographs of the ship. Instead, only the images of its sunken wreck survive. The remarkable survival of USS New Orleans. The damaged U.S. Navy heavy cruiser USS New Orleans, CA-32, entering Tulagi Harbor about 8 hours after the Battle of Tassafaronga, December 1, 1942. Everything ahead of turret number 2 is missing after being hit by a single torpedo which exploded her forward magazines. The U.S. Navy cruiser USS New or, read more. Photograph by CBW, a Lamy stock photo. The heavy cruiser USS New Orleans was hit by a Japanese long lance torpedo on the night of November 30, 1942, during the Battle of Tassafaronga on the western side of Ironbottom Sound. The torpedo struck near fuel tanks and an ammunition magazine, causing a massive explosion that tore off the ship's bow, including one of its gun turrets. But the rest of the New Orleans didn't sink. Instead, it stayed afloat thanks to the efforts of several crew members who stayed at their posts. R.I.P. Theodore Hawksworth. My great-uncle was lost in the bow of the New Orleans. I have waited a whole lifetime for this to be found. I only wish my grandma were still alive to see this. At T. Bauer S8B. Some of those brave individuals were among the more than 180 people who lost their lives in the attack. Stricken and on fire, the American warship managed to stay afloat for temporary repairs at a nearby island. It then sailed stern first to Australia for more permanent repairs and rejoined the Pacific War in 1943. USS New Orleans. In 1942, a torpedo struck the USS New Orleans, causing a massive